Podcast with hosts Andrew Clark and Chris Emery. This is designed to be a discussion on all things life and faith. We hope this serves as a weekly resource and encouragement to you.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Bayview Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Andrew Clark, joined as always by Chris Emery. How are you, sir?
I'm doing super well, man. Good to be here. Good to always be back in the studio. So, you doing well?
Yeah, it's fall. I'll take it.
It doesn't feel like fall. It's going to be 85 today. That's hot.
Yep. So it was false fall, second summer, but we're getting close.
We are. We're going up and down. Football's back. Fun times are back. School's back in session. The time of this recording, you're kicking off student ministries this week.
Mm-hmm.
So that's always cool when that comes back around.
Yeah. Makes it just feel like life is back to normal, I guess.
Whatever normal
looks
like in ministry, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know. So we are in the middle of this current podcast series focusing on stories.
Mm-hmm.
And the last couple of weeks, you've heard some really great stories. We heard from your father-in-law a couple weeks ago, and just talking about some of the incredible work that he's doing over in Abu Dhabi.
Yep.
And then last week, I hope you heard that episode, just an incredible episode with Whitney, and just talking about the story. It's probably a story you've heard.
Mm-hmm.
It was all over the news back in 2006, I believe is what it was. So if you didn't listen to that, I don't want to spoiler alert it, so go on back and listen.
Yeah.
But this last weekend then, Andrew, you preached here at Bayview, and you talked about the power of our stories and that everyone has a story. In a lot of ways, you and I, we have a similar early story in that it's rather boring compared to other testimonies, as we would call it, right?
Sure.
Pastor's kid, grew up, born into church, grew up in church, still at church.
Yeah, 100%.
Valleys and bunny trails in there built in.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean the story lacks power, because everybody's story has power, because every believer's story is a Jesus story.
Yep.
And so I just love that we're having this chance to hear different voices, hear different stories. And so today, I'm really excited.
Yeah.
So we have some super special guests. Why don't you introduce them?
Yeah. So this year at Bayview, we've had the chance to offer more or less a residency, is what we've kind of called it, an internship of sorts. And so we have two interns, or as we like to call them, the residudes, with us.
Just you.
Just me, but that's
the residuettes.
The
No, that
Even
work.
worse.
That didn't work.
Right?
All right, dude. But we're joined by Tristan, Lhamon, and Lilia, Schook. And so they're kind of with us for the year and doing really all things ministry, primarily focused on children, students, and a lot of that. But they'll dip their toe into the tech, and we're going to throw them on stage and do a whole bunch of different stuff with them. But we've been with them for a couple weeks now, and we kind of, the fall's bringing more of the thrust of work that we're going to be doing. But yeah, excited to have them on. And so welcome, guys.
Thank you for having us.
Nice to be here. It's way too hot outside.
Well, I don't mean to shock either of you, but you're both wearing long sleeves. So
That might be my fault.
yeah, I know.
I didn't check the weather.
There's some
before I left.
responsibility. Didn't check the weather. What are you doing with them, Andrew? I mean, come on now.
To be young again.
To be young again. This is true. Hey, we are excited not just to have you on the podcast, but we're excited to have you both here at Bayview, and excited about both of you answering this call to ministry, and that's why you're here. But we wanted to take a chance here today just to hear your stories a little bit. So we'll go ladies first, and so Lilia, tell us. All right. I know that, you've got this incredible 18 years already under your belt, so I'm sure it's a long story. Who are you? Where are you from? Tell us a little bit about your family. Kind of tell us your story to now.
I'm Lilia, yeah. And I mainly always lived in Traverse City. I was born downstate, but my family moved up here, I'd say 15 years ago.
Okay.
And we've always gone to church. We've always been involved. And
we found, and I've always believed I was a Christian. I just never knew what it meant. I just was like, oh yeah, I'm a Christian. I go to church. Like,
Good.
I've always grown up like that. But when I was 10, I decided I wanted to give my life to Jesus, and I got baptized. And that was a really cool experience because, like, there were so many people getting baptized as well with me, like, there at the church. So it's just kind of cool, just the next step in life, I guess. And then I would say about 7 years ago, we decided to come to Bayview one Sunday, and we haven't left since. And we've gotten very involved in the church. And I've loved the community we've had here. It's great. And I've always been involved in, like, youth group, and I'm very involved in Young Life. I started that back in 7th grade. And I found a lot of, like, my best friend to this day. I found her, and so that was great. And now I'm a wildlife leader, which is really cool. So yeah.
Explain that to us. What's wildlife leader?
Wildlife is a middle school group under the umbrella of Young Life.
Cool.
Right now we just have it at East Middle School. And I hang out with these middle school girls and just let them know about Jesus, and
so good.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. So you remember at 10 asking Jesus in your life. When did you feel, or maybe it wasn't a specific moment? Tell us about this pull to ministry that you feel like, okay, this is what God's calling me to or pulling me to.
Yeah. I guess I've always, like, looked up to my youth group pastors that I've had, and, like, all my Young Life leaders. Like, I've always looked up to them. I'm like, I want to be like that when I'm older. Like, I want to do what they're doing.
Cool.
And so, like, I'd always, like, kind of, like, when it come to, like, youth group, I would always want to hang out with the leaders. Like, I wouldn't want to just, like, hang out as, like, in the group of kids. So I was like, I just want to, like, learn more about it. And I think just that, honestly, yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah. Now I get that. I do remember always in youth group, it was like I was attracted to, like, wanting to be around the older students, or, you know, could I figure out a way to find, like, somehow make it to a leader hangout, and it's like I'm the student there, and somehow I snuck in. Like, it was always just that sense of wanting to be around it. But that was a huge motivator for me too, of wanting to do ministry, was seeing other people who I looked up to kind of being sold out for it and being into it, and they always made it look so fun, and just like yeah, that's really interesting. That was kind of a motivator for you.
Yeah, it's, like, really cool because, like, the wildlife director here, she was my wildlife leader when I was back in middle school, and so it's really cool now to, like, work alongside her. So yeah, I've always looked up to that. So yeah.
I love it. That's super cool. Your parents, I mean, this is a loaded question because I know the answer, but your parents are fully supportive of this and your direction, obviously. Yeah, your family's great. Your dad's one of our board members, actually. And yeah, you guys were like, when I got here 8 years ago, you know, Bayview was kind of in a downward season. Really hardly any young families for sure with kids. And yeah, your family came bebopping in here pretty early on in the story, and things weren't great, but they were committed, and they were here like, no, we're here to help make it great. And yeah, the Schooks have been a huge part of the Bayview story these last 8 years for sure. So cool. It's super cool to see how that story is still being written with you being here now.
Yeah.
In fact, I remember at the board meeting several months ago, after Andrew had put together the whole proposal of how this residency would work, and I'm taken to the board, and I knew your dad knew who the residents were going to be, but I was just, at step one was get the residency program approved before we talk about that. And I could just see your dad's face at the end of the table down there, just kind of trying to hold in the pride, the good pride, the dad pride, like, that's my daughter. Yeah, she's gonna be one of these. And yeah, he was pretty excited about it.
Aww.
So it's pretty awesome. So cool. Awesome. All right. Tristan, welcome.
How you doing?
I'm doing pretty darn good, man. So I'm doing great. This is mini rainy, man.
Yeah, it is.
It really is. So,
100%.
all right, Tristan. I've actually had a chance to meet your whole family,
Mhm.
and you got an awesome crew. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us about your story up to this point.
All right, I'm Tristan. I always grew up in the church. I've gone to church my entire life. Well, my parents started going just after I was born, and they got married, and I've been going since then. I never, that entire time until about I was 14, 15 years old, didn't really have a relationship with God. I kind of just went. It was just something we did. It was just part of my life, and never really understood it. I never really wanted to have a relationship with him at all. It was kind of just like more something we did. And but we moved around a lot, especially when I was younger, moving different houses in this area. Always lived around here. We moved to Grand Rapids, Texas one time, just doing wherever the Lord called us, as my dad always said. And I was kind of thought that was weird, and didn't always trust it. I was kind of just like, are you serious? Like, this sucks. But I now realize that it was important, and it is a lot of how I became who I am. And I saw a lot of example of just how my mom and dad just followed the Lord, like where they thought he was calling them. And I want to do that. But like I said, 14, 15, I was at a camp. Actually, Lilia was there. We didn't figure this out until Sunday.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of funny. But super high anxiety, just fear of everything, people, social anxiety, all that stuff. It was really like compressing on my life, and it just was terrible, and I didn't know how to get away from it. Then during that camp, I didn't want to go to like this. They were having music, it was a party, whatever, and I was like, heck no, I'm not going to that. Like that's a lot for me. So I went for a walk, and God showed up in my life, and I just like had this thought, like, why do I feel like that about that specific situation? And like I just want that to be away. I want to have fun with my friends, and be able to do stuff with my family. Go walk on a pier and not be afraid of falling in the water, like weird specific stuff like that. But it was really just lies in my head, and I asked God to just take those away. Like, I don't know why, like, if you're real, just take them away. And I actually, like, I broke down, my legs started shaking, and he was definitely there with me in that moment. And one word that I remember from that moment when I asked him to save me and forgive me for feeling that way and being away from him was I just felt peace. Ever since then, I'll do anything. You want to go skydiving tomorrow? Let's go do it. Like, stuff like that. It's quite freeing. And then like walking, and he just sanctified me in that, and just kept going. And I found started going back to West Side. I found Elevate right after Andrew left, actually, and just grew my faith from there. Just friendships, everything. I found I love working with kids, and they're just, because I am a kid, so it's easy to relate with them and hang out with them. And especially, I got to hang out with some second, third graders for about a year, and I just saw so much growth in them and their faith, and like having them come back every week. A couple of them brought other kids to church that haven't even gone to church before. Some shared their testimonies. My sister, actually, she's 9. She got baptized, which is crazy. Kids telling me about their salvation and coming back every week. I was so excited to tell me that they're sharing the gospel, and I'm like, you guys are 9 and 10 years old. Like, are you serious? Like, there's people in the big congregation that aren't doing that, and that's very important. And I just found that I love that, but I didn't know that I wanted to do that, or it was like a call. It was just something that I really, really enjoyed. And but I kind of neglected it. I wanted to do more, like try to find just a job that I was doing, get paid good money. But then I struggled with that because it was just like I didn't want to feel trapped or like I hate this or whatever. Like I was thinking about going back to construction or doing framing again, just being like, all right, whatever. I found like I love bowling, so I worked at the alley, and it was just like, even that, like, I was just like, oh, this sucks. Like, well, but I just keep trying to find enjoyment in that. But then I neglected that call to kids ministry because I kind of felt it every so often. It would be like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. But then I would be like, that's scary. Like, get away from that. And then about 4 months ago, I started doing a lot of camps. I did soccer camp. I led some VBS stuff. And then went to Philadelphia to work with some kids there at it was crazy. It was like a community center, but there's people with open drinks, smoking pot everywhere. And it's like, I'm hanging out with these kids here. Like, this is awesome. And at the end of that week, a kid came up to me. We were all eating ice cream together, and he said, "You coming back next week?" I'll never forget that because it crushed my soul that I wasn't able to come back next week, and I couldn't go hang out with them and be a light in their life. And that's when I realized, like, all right, God, like, I get it. Like, you want me to do this? Let's do this. Give me some opportunities. Sure enough, I didn't even know about Bayview, about anything you guys were doing here. And my dad somehow met Pastor Chris at Home Depot, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, he walked up and introduced himself to me, just out of the blue.
It's crazy. And we came to Bayview. We got invited to come hang out. Literally, first week I showed up, Chris was like, "You want to go hang out with all the kids upstairs?" And I'm like, "Oh, gosh, sure, let's do it." It was awesome. The kids, I don't know why they love me so much, and I don't know why I love them so much, but it was awesome. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Unexplainable, but definitely that was just working. And then literally we went and had lunch, and Chris was like, "So we got this internship residency at Bayview. You want to do this?" And I'm like, "Okay, I guess these are the opportunities. Let's go." Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely cool the way God kept putting the right people in the right path, and and it felt fast. Like
Yeah.
part of me is like, I think I had this human need to be like, well, we need to take our time.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's just times where you see God putting the right people and the right things in place, and it's like, listen, this is clearly God's direction. Like, why are we pumping brakes?
Right.
And so, yeah, it was just really cool the way all that came together. And it's a much longer story, but I thoroughly enjoyed the fact that God introduced your dad into my world. I've had time to hang out and have coffee. Your whole family, your mom is awesome. Your sisters are awesome. Your youngest sister is an absolute riot. Like, she's hysterical.
Don't worry, I live with her.
Yeah, I'm sure for me it's entertaining. For you, it's something different. But it's been cool even watching the way God's directed Andrew in pushing us into this residency world, I guess.
Sure.
And this isn't the first time, so I don't know. I mean, give us maybe that quick overview. Like why? What is it with this? Why have you felt such a passion for this?
Sure.
Direction.
I think part of the call I felt is the sense of, especially working with students, it's always that language of like raising up the next generation and that mentality. And I think for me, a big thing of when even years ago doing some of these internship stuff was, well, the next generation, okay, if I'm a leader, then I'm called to replace myself and create other leaders, right? And so I think that was a big just sense and calling ahead in my life of like, I'm like supposed to find my replacement. It was like almost like that was like a legit mentality. Not that I didn't want to work, not that it was like, if like why am I learned, and it's kind of what Lilia said, like I learned by just being around people who were doing it. And I found so much joy in that younger stage of my life, being around those who were doing it, and that motivated me. Like, and Tristan's story is kind of fun too, because I remember his dad working in children's ministry. Mr. Pete was like this
Pete.
epic, and I was a teen at the time, but like serving in children's ministry along with Mr. Pete, it was like, oh, this guy loves it. And so to see it fast forward, and I think of myself as my dad was a youth pastor, so to be around him and see it. And so I think that was a huge, all these different kind of like outside reminders of like, man, we're called to be like training and teaching and working with and growing, and just that own experience of my own of just being around people who were always trying to grow and teach and explain to me. I'm like, we should be doing this as a church. Like that's like what we're called to do. Even if, Lily and Tristan go out and move to Dallas and are a children's pastor down there, or, whatever Lilia wants to do in ministry, like, and God's gonna use her, and it might not be here. It might be somewhere else.
Totally,
and it's like that, also that same mentality of like, again, sending people out to make a difference in this world, for Christ. It's like, that's just a win. And so, we've able to do a handful of internships and work with individuals, and even help some other churches do some internship stuff. And I just love leadership development. I love all that too. And so, it was just kind of that sense of, let's try this. Like, let's just see what it would look like for Bayview to have an intern. And I think we had enough moving parts and pieces that kind of said like, it might actually make sense if we can bring someone in and treat them well and get them that experience. So,
well, and I think it makes a lot of sense, but I think it aligns with everything you were just saying too, and that is that I think we have this big responsibility of what we talk a lot about legacy, and we talk a lot about the decisions we make now will determine what's happening, at least within Bayview, 20, 30 years from now. So we're making legacy type decisions. And I think a big part of that is, what are we doing to train up the next generation of leadership? Yeah. The next generation is going to come in and they're going to continue to lead the charge, whether it be at Bayview or whether it be at another church or in a parachurch ministry, whatever it may be. We're all on the same team. Yeah. And I just thought, man, that I've always felt that call too, and the timing was right, and then even the way God just put the right people in the right place to do this. I'm just excited to see how God continues to use this. Yeah. So to throw it back to you guys, why did you say yes to this, and what are you most excited about in the coming year? Because you've been with us a month.
About a month, yeah.
A little over a month. All right, so you're 1/12 of the way in. So you're just getting kind of used to it all. What are you guys looking forward to? Why is this something you were excited to say yes to?
Thanks.
If you're listening, Lilia just gave the nonverbal, you go first, Tristan. So,
I said yes to it because it was an opportunity that seemed right in my mind, and just went with it because I asked for opportunities and it popped up, and it just seemed like the right one. So that's why I said yes. Most excited. I'm just excited to learn as much as I can about how a church runs, how I can better teach kids, especially because I love doing children's ministry, and be a light and in their life outside of everything else, and be something fun and they can look forward to during the week, and make good relationships with them. And because that's something that was really big for me when I was younger, is moving around a lot, going to a bunch of different churches, a bunch of whatever. Like, I didn't have that personal relationship with somebody outside of my parents or something like that until about when I started going to Elevate, the youth ministry there, and they actually had that personal relationship, and that's when I started, like, it's just booming, like, just growing with Jesus, like, everything. It was amazing, and I'm like, oh, I can be that for even younger kids, so they can start earlier and realize, like, oh, like, this is real. Like, Jesus can make a huge change in my life. Even like Lilia saying, like, at 10 years old, that's insane. Like, that's so young and so far ahead of so many other people. Like, Andrew always talks about like building up the next generation, and they are like, and just to hear it from them every week and see the growth and to see how much joy they have when they come in, it's really inspiring.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
I love it. I love that you and I are talking about the next generation, and he's talking about the next generation.
Yeah,
I think that's pretty awesome right there. Super cool. And I remember at lunch, as you and I were talking that one day, and you were kind of telling me more about this call ministry and how you felt the call and kids specifically. And I remember asking you the question, so what's next? And you literally just said, well, I'm just waiting for God to give me the opportunities. And you were just in that place of like, I'm obedient, I'm just waiting. And so I think it was just, again, a really cool testimony to your heart, your readiness to step out in faith. And when the opportunity came up, you were in. And I think that's, I love that, the way that played out. What about you, Lilia? What are you excited about, other than getting to hang out with some really super cool pastors and, all that stuff? What are you excited about?
Well, when I heard about this internship, I guess I was like, okay, yeah, I'll think about it. I felt like that's kind of what my first take on it. And like I just graduated high school, and I was like, I don't know what I want to do with the rest of my life. I was like, I know so many people who are going away. I was like, I don't know. And then I was like, okay, this internship, like, I was like, okay, I could do this. Like, I do want to learn more. I didn't know exactly what I was getting myself into, but I was like, it will be good. Like, God is in control. And now that I'm here, I'm just like, I love it. I love hanging out with all of you guys. And I've learned a lot so far, about ministry and both sides, like just the pretty side of it and the ugly.
Sure.
It's really cool, to see everybody work together. I'd say I'm most excited, even though I am very nervous about it, but I would say I'm most excited about the teaching series, that we have the opportunity to do during youth group. So yeah, I'm excited I'm really excited for youth group. I've always loved middle school. Like that's like I feel like the age where a lot of people are trying to figure out what like Christianity is all about and everything. Yeah.
I love it. And I'm glad you love middle school. My understanding is you got a busload of sixth graders coming in this year, so
it should be a good time.
It should be a lot of fun.
That's really why I wanted the internship.
I was going to say, you saw the numbers of sixth graders moving up, and you're like, all right, reinforcements.
Come hang. No, I'm excited for the interns and for this, because even you mentioned like the teaching stuff and like just the ability to kind of give you guys the all-encompassing experience. I just remember doing my internship, and I even mowed the yard at some point. Like it was just kind of one of those. We're not going to make you mow, but it was just like one of those. Like
Steve won't let him mow anyway.
Yeah, Steve. Yeah, that's his thing. But it's a chance to kind of like, you said you prayed for an opportunity, and it's like it's an opportunity to learn. And I think for us, Chris and I have talked about this a lot. Like it kind of puts us in a space too of like we've got to be on our A game. Like we can't be like, hey, come learn, and us being like, we have nothing to teach you. And so I'm excited for you guys to also though teach us. And I'm a big believer in part of team building is like that idea of other ideas and other thoughts. It's been so fun to be like, all right, y'all are 18, I'm almost 34. Like I don't know what clicks anymore with a 16-year-old or a 17-year-old, and you guys are kind of in that space. But you want to make a difference in that space, which I think is really cool. It's not just like the whatever. Like there's a desire on your part to, as Tristan was saying, like to already impact the next generation, which is, that's awesome.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think that's what I'm the most excited about as well, is just watching. I'm excited about what they can learn and how we can pour into them. But I think I'm more excited. I am more excited to watch how God teaches us through them. as he uses them in big ways to minister to the students and the kids.
Yeah.
I think there's so much that we're gonna grow from it as well. And I'm already amazed and just so blown away watching both of you walk with the faith that you walk, with the obedience to step into this. This is being completely unknown and something brand new, and yet you both like, yeah, we're in, let's go. And just seeing you guys step into that calling so early is really, really special. And I already have a great level of respect and appreciation for both of you guys. And I'm just excited to see how God uses this.
Yeah, 100%.
So it's cool. Well, hey, if you see Tristan or Lilia around, welcome them and encourage them. Be praying for them. Be praying for our students that kick off this week. That's such a huge part of the life cycle of church is the student ministries.
Mm-hmm.
We're excited about that. Thanks for being with us today. It's always good to get to hang with you here on the Bayview Podcast. Always good to have guests. So Lilia, Tristan, thanks for taking time to come on up and jump on the podcast with us today. It's been an honor to have you here. If you have not done so, go ahead and click subscribe, whatever platform you're listening on. Hit that. Is it a thumbs up button on some of them? I don't know. Hit that button and or that the like button.
No, you're fine. Keep going.
Do something.
There it is. Yeah.
Do something to subscribe. There's a subscribe button. I know that. That way you never miss an episode. We're here every week. For now, though, it's Andrew, Chris, Lilia, Tristan saying thanks for being with us. We'll see you next time around. We're out of here.